Hello everybody, it's Sierra, the Artsy Badger, and today we're kind of doing another sketchbook session, at least for the first portion of the video, but ultimately we're going to be drawing my guinea pigs. In case you're new here, or just in case you missed it, I have already done one drawing in this style of my now passed away rat Buttercup. If you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it in the iCard, but I decided that passed away or not, I'd like to have a sort of gallery of my pets, and so I decided to add in my 2 guinea pigs. And eventually we'll also add in the other 2 rats that we have that have not passed away. And then maybe also Miko. We'll see. So before I got started on my personal guinea pig drawings, I decided to do a little bit of just guinea pig sketching in my sketchbook. This is mostly because every time I've tried to draw a guinea pig, it has turned out really weird looking. They're just kind of oddly shaped critters and I never seem to be able to get them right, so I really wanted to take some time to do some studies before I just hopped into it and made a couple drawings of my own guinea pigs, because I want them to look cute and I want them to look like them. So I just drew a bunch of guinea pigs trying to help myself figure out how to distinguish between different hair colors and different hairstyles, as well as hair lengths, all that kind of good stuff. I started off by doing my sketching in a Prismacolor color erase pencil, and then I went in and inked everything with just a ballpoint pen. This one is by the brand Papermate, and I really love the way that these sketches turned out. I want to do more of this in my sketchbook, just little ink drawings that don't have too much meaning to them, and they look kind of finished and polished, but also look really sketchy. I think that's my ultimate sketchbook aesthetic. I'm also very proud of myself for overlapping different sketches. I'm usually so bad at that. I like giving everything its own space to breathe. But when I look at other people's sketchbooks, I always think that it's really cool that it looks like they've just put their entire brain on one piece of paper and it's just all jumbled like all of our brains are. So I really tried to achieve that aesthetic in this sketchbook spread, and I don't know if it counts because I tried so hard to make it look like this, but it's, it's a step in the right direction. As I finished up the ballpoint pen line work, I decided to add just a little bit of color blocking to the back, and I went with a color of marker, just a water-based marker that was similar to my sketch color. And that's it for my trial sketches. So now we can move on to drawing my 2 guinea pigs, who are named Tonks and Lupin, by the way. So I cut out 2 pieces of paper, the same size as the sheet that I used for my Buttercup drawing. And I started off with Tonks because Tonks was the first guinea pig that I ever got. And she's very special to me because unfortunately she suffered from heat stroke probably almost 2 years ago now. But during that time, it was really hot. I was living in Southern California and she suffered from heat stroke and I thought she was gonna die. And I literally spent 2 weeks syringe feeding her food and water every 2 hours or so until she started to gain life. And it was a really sort of bonding experience for us. In case you guys don't know, guinea pigs are not the biggest fans of being picked up and things like that. They're ultimately afraid of people because they are prey animals. I guess I shouldn't say they're afraid of people, but they are just fearful creatures. And so it can be pretty hard to gain trust from your guinea pig. And I have always had a good relationship with Tonks. I got her when she was really young, and so she always would enjoy coming up onto my lap, but as long as I had food, and she wasn't afraid of me by any means. But after this whole experience of taking care of her those 2 weeks, we just have a much deeper connection than I ever expected to have with a guinea pig. She totally trusts me, and I can pick her up very easily now. And I think she just really appreciates the effort that I put into saving her life. Now that I have that sort of sappy sob story out of the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about the art. So I decided that I wanted to stick with the theme that I did for Buttercup's piece, where I have the circle background with the animal breaking the background as well as flowers and plants behind the animal. And I tried to pick flowers and plants that embodied Tonks to me. So I have a sunflower down in the right-hand corner, and I have these sort of snapdragons in the left-hand corner, because she's very feisty, but she's also like super confident and just a wonderful little guinea pig. Next up, I'm sketching out Lupin. Lupin is the one that I got after she suffered from the heat stroke because she needed a friend to help her get better. And so I got Lupin, and Tonks picked Lupin out. It was really funny. I was trying to pick a guinea pig that would be around her age, because the thing with guinea pigs is that they need companions, and if their companions pass away, then they can get depressed enough that they will also pass away. So I wanted to get one that would be around the same age as her, but we tried 3 guinea pigs, and Tonks was just the biggest bully. It didn't matter how much bigger these guinea pigs were than her, she would just bully them around, and the guy that I was working with at the rescue was like, oh, I don't know if any of these are gonna work, and we've already tried 3, and 3 is usually the maximum that we try because the guinea pigs tend to just become too agitated, and even if they do like the next one, they're not going to show it because they're just mad. But I decided to try this last baby guinea pig, and Tonks was in love with her. They instantly snuggled up in the corner, and it was the cutest thing I had ever seen. So of course I had to bring her home, and of course I had to name her after Lupin, which, if you guys don't know Harry Potter that well, Tonks is a character from Harry Potter, Nymphadora Tonks, and Lupin is her husband. And although my Lupin is not a boy, I thought that Lupin could definitely be a girl's name, because Lupin is his last name anyway. But that's all besides the point. So, of course, I had to draw Lupin flowers in her background, as well as a few other dainty flowers. Lupin is a completely different guinea pig than Tonks. She is much more timid. She is unlike any guinea pig I've interacted with. She does not run away from you. She just freezes in fear and squeals when you try to pick her up. We've been working with her a lot, and she is much less fearful. She actually comes up to us, and she will let us pick her up without squealing occasionally. But overall, she's much more fearful than Tonks, and we try to give her the space she needs. But honestly, in the past 2 years, she's made a lot of strides. Now she comes up to take her treats from the edge of the cage. She used to not even take it if I put it right in front of her. She was so scared of me. But now she comes running up. She lets me scratch her nose. That's part of our ritual. I try to make them let me pet them before they get their treat, so that they get more and more used to me being the giver of food and not being a big scary human creature. So now we are coloring in Tonks, and I was definitely the most nervous for Tonks's coloring. That's mostly because I was so traumatized by the coloring of Miko. They are very similar in coloration, a very dark gray-black color with very light spots and accent colors. And for some reason, that's so hard for me to make it look seamless and like it's actually on the same creature. It ends up looking so splotchy rather than just another color in their fur. I think I did a lot better with Tonks. I used some things that I learned from the mistakes I made while coloring Miko, such as keeping the darkest colors lighter than the darkest colors I have. Although she is still very dark in this image, this is probably only my third darkest gray rather than my darkest gray. And I think that really helps a lot. I also darkened the lights more than I would instinctually darken them. I hope this is making sense. The point being, I think Tonks turned out a lot better than Miko did, and it makes me excited to try and do one of these with Miko. The reason I said at the beginning that I might do one of these with Miko is because I don't know how I would fit her on such a small piece of paper. Would I just do her face? Would I make the paper bigger? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think I should do. Should I use a bigger paper, or should I just do a portrait like a bust, or just her face? Let me know. Coloring in the flowers is one of the most satisfying parts of these little doodles. There's something about coloring in floral designs that is just so satisfying. Maybe it's because it's something that I've done a lot, and so I have a very set technique for how I do it, and I like the way it looks, so I know I'm not gonna be disappointed. Versus with Tonks, I was so nervous because I had no idea how to color in her fur, but I was pleasantly surprised, so at least there's that. As I kind of mentioned before, I tried to go with flowers that fit with Tonks. I don't know how else to describe that, but I decided to keep all of her flowers on the warm side, so they're all orangey, pinky, yellowy tones. Even the leaves in the background are all fairly warm, although the two sort of sage leaves that I do to the right of the snapdragons, they definitely have a cool undertone, because in the reference images they look very blue-green, and so I made sure to include some blue in the coloring, but I went over it with a warm gray to kind of pull it back into the family of colors that the rest of the flowers are in. And for the background, I just chose some blue color that I thought would go with both of the guinea pigs' color schemes because I wanted them to have a matching background. Now that Tonks is all done, let's start on Lupin. Now for Lupin, I was actually feeling pretty confident about the coloring of her. For some reason, a orange ginger colored guinea pig did not seem as intimidating as a dark colored guinea pig, but I have to say, hers took the most tweaking. I got Tonks's pretty much on my first try, but with Lupin, I just kept adding colors because I just didn't have the right set of earthy toned oranges. I really like this first color that I laid down, the like burnt orange color. And then I tried to add this sand color and it ended up being way darker than I was expecting. So then I came in with a cream tone, but then that was way lighter than I wanted it to be. So I came in with a darker one, still not light enough, added an even darker one. It's looking better. Added some yellow over it to try and bring out the orange into the blonde. And I do think with enough mixing, it does become an acceptable color, but it was way harder than I thought it was going to be, which is kind of funny since I was so confident about this one. You can definitely tell that I improved my technique by the time I got to her little face patch, because that coloring is way more cohesive and just looks better. Now it's on to the flowers. And like I said, I wanted to put Lupin flowers in the background, and Lupins are purple, so I chose other flowers that were in that purple family. And I think it looks really good between her and Tonks, because Tonks as a guinea pig is more of a cool tone because she's black, and then her flowers are warm like Lupin, and then Lupin is an orange guinea pig, and her flowers are cool colored in the background. So I'm really happy with the way that that turned out. I do think that the little leaves on the Lupins are a little too bright of a green, but it's a fun contrast, so I don't really mind it. It's so hard being a Copic marker user. You just want to buy all the colors that they have, and then I'm sure you still wouldn't be satisfied. It's so hard to not want more colors, and it's so hard not to blame certain mistakes that you make on your like lack of colors, but I have so many Copic markers, and yet I still find myself lacking and wanting more. It's a problem. And here I am finishing off the background with the same color I used for Tonks' background, as I said. And that's it. These are my completed portraits of my two guinea pigs, Lupin and Tonks. Let me know which one you like better in that poll up in the iCard. Stay tuned to the end of the video and you can see some cute footage of my little guineas. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Is it food? Oh, wow! Acrobatic piggy! Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. It's okay, nose day. Oh, you're doing so good.